Hey everyone, this amazing ESO Network show is brought to you by our fine sponsor, Amazon.com. Please remember to shop Amazon for all your geeky needs, no matter what time of the year it is. All you need to do is go to esopodcast.com/ESO Amazon, or click on the Amazon banner on the ESO Network webpage to go to our e-store. It's the best way to shop and the best way to support this program, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Okay, that's enough of me babbling for now. Now on with your regular scheduled show.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon.
That is probably true.
Today we're going to be talking about the fourth serial of the 8th season of Doctor Who, Colony in Space, which consists of 6 episodes that aired from April 10th, 1971 to May 15th, 1971. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Matt Golden of mgoldentumbles.tumblr.com for getting us these episodes.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
You are shiny.
True facts!
Before we talk about today's serial, you probably have noticed at the beginning of this episode and on our previous episode, there was some guy talking at you because we are now a part of the ESO network. They do podcasts and stuff, and we are now doing podcasts for/with them, I guess. Yeah.
We're a part of the team.
The reason we didn't acknowledge it whatsoever in the last episode is we recorded that episode before we were officially put on there. We recorded it before, but edited it after, if that makes sense. So now we are publicly acknowledging it. We did a little guest spot on Earth Station 1, which may or may not be up yet. I don't know. If it is, we'll have already posted a link to it, and if not, we'll keep an eye out for it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Other podcasts on there. There's a whole bunch of like geeky ones, but specifically I want to mention...
There's a handful of Doctor Who ones.
Yeah, including The Oncoming Storm, which Ashley Rayburn is a part of, who we previously had on the Ice Warriors. I believe he's going to be on our next Ice Warriors as well. So
awesome. He's fun. I had a panel with him in Atlanta. It was good times.
It was him and Jamie Matheson.
Mm-hmm.
And another guy that I'm now Facebook friends with. But anyway, I wanted to just say we're part of the ESO network, and we're excited to be a part of it. And yay!
Yes, which means you will hear that little ad play at the beginning. You'll hear...
an ad. I'm thinking right before... final thoughts. Does that work for you?
No, we probably should have figured it out.
So don't be, like, frightened by strange voices, is I guess what I'm saying.
Oh, I was going to say, you might hear ads for us in other podcasts you're listening to, if you listen to other podcasts on the ESO network.
And another bit of news, well, not news, something I want to talk about before we jump into the episode. I think it's time for laundry update.
Is this what's...
This is a new feature.
Happening? Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, a couple podcasts ago, we made a bet about whether or not the Master was going to return in the next serial or the serial after that. And Toni said the serial after that, and I said the next serial, and I was right, which meant whoever was right, the other person had to put away Toni's laundry, which meant I was right, which means Toni has to put away her laundry. That was 2 podcasts ago.
Okay, in my defense, last weekend we weren't at home.
That's true.
And the weekend before that, I didn't want to.
That's true, but not fair.
Well, first of all...
Yes.
I'm stalling for time while I come up with a better reason of why I haven't done it yet.
Uh-huh.
Is it working?
No. See, I'm just keeping you to task. This podcast has 2 purposes now.
Okay.
To inform the people. And to get you to do chores.
Here's the thing. It's not just like a basket of laundry. It's like most of my clothes just sort of exist inside of my closet at all times. This isn't like a task I can complete in a day.
This is going to take multiple days.
I'm going to have to break it down.
Have you started doing that?
Well, I've started thinking about it. And I'm wearing clothes today. And so those clothes are no longer in the closet. I've gotten that far.
That's been a laundry update. Day.
My goal is that by the next time we record an episode, I will have put away
an item.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like 4 shirts. That's what I feel like.
For sure.
What I can commit to.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Laundry update. Day. Should we talk about Doctor Who now?
No, I'm pretty sure what everyone tuned in for was to hear me talk about my inability to put laundry away. That's why they're here listening to this podcast.
Alright, go away now. We're done.
Let's talk about the episode.
Colony in Space, Episode 1, which I have called Attack of the Oversized Iguana.
Right, because of the iguana.
This is the best part of this episode. Well, let's start with the beginning.
You don't care for this cereal.
I don't, and we'll go into why. Okay, first off, I'm excited about this serial because A, it's called In Space, which means we're going back to space.
We all know Joe has been impatiently waiting the return of space adventures.
We had a bit of one in Ambassadors of Death when he flew the rocket to that ship and everything. But that's not enough, and it's not using the TARDIS. But we got so many things I've been waiting for this serial. Well, first off, we start with the Time Lords, which is exciting, though they're in it for maybe 5 seconds and then that's it.
But they are there, and they are assholes.
And they're trying to stop the Master from doing a thing, from taking a doomsday device or something. And so they're like, well, we need the Doctor's help because we ain't doing that shit.
I do like the idea that the Time Lords are like, we're not going to interfere, but if we just put the Doctor there, he'll interfere anyway.
We will temporarily free the Doctor so he will do the right thing because we don't want to.
Because we won't.
We will set him in the vicinity of our dirty laundry.
Ooh, you think we could get the Time Lords to send the Doctor here?
I don't think the Doctor would put away your laundry.
Alright.
Judge it, maybe. So then we come back to Unit. Joe and Brig are making fun of the Doctor for trying to make his TARDIS work. He's got that little circuit.
They're making fun of him, and like then it works, right? Him and Joe are in it, and it pops out of existence.
It does not fade. It goes and then just disappears. Out.
You were very upset about that, I think.
It does that every time that it appears or disappears in the serial. It just disappears. That includes the Master's TARDIS, which, by the way, the Master's in this. Spoilers. So Toni has to put away twice as much laundry. Yeah, and I read a quote from the director of the episode who said he would have had it fade out if he knew that was what it was supposed to do. He didn't know. Which, did he not see the show before? Or had he seen it but just didn't pay attention to that aspect? Or
I don't know. I just like the idea that at some point someone was like, how come in your episode it doesn't do the fadey thing? And he had to be like, I didn't know! Okay? Stop asking. I'm sorry I forgot the fadey bit.
Which, by the way, before it disappears, Joe and the Doctor go in, and this is the first time we get to see
the inside of the TARDIS.
I mean, we saw it a little bit in the last serial, but
it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I think it was just, I don't think they had finished building it and they had just had like a wall. Because like the console's like really close to the door and Closet of Access. It's very tight and cramped. This episode, it's very spacious and you get to walk around a bit and see things. And Joe gets to say it's bigger on the inside than out. And the Doctor says that's because it's dimensionally transcendental. And then she's like, what does that mean? He's like, it means it's bigger on the inside than out.
I did like that bit. But as the TARDIS pops out of existence, the Brig does the best thing. He just sort of walks up to like the space where the TARDIS was and he was like, you better get back here right now.
Doctor, come back at once.
Like he's chiding a small child.
But with that smirk that the Brig does.
Which I think is great because, like, you know, like, he's doing it with full authority, right? He's standing there like, get back here. And you know in his head he's just like, fuck, I hope that works. Like, I don't think he expects it to at all.
I've been complaining about, like, I'm not sure how I feel about Unit, and I want to get back to space and TARDIS adventures and etc.
Did you miss the Brig?
I missed the Brig. The Brig's not in the serial, except for this opening bit and a tiny bit right at the end. It would have been fun if, like, the Brig went with them, you know?
It would have been fun to see
the Brig out of his element, sort of thing. So that's strike one.
I think we'll get there. I think we'll get that.
Okay, and here's strike two, kind of, for me. I don't know, it just seems weird. They arrive on another planet. Xarius, something like that. Who cares? He doesn't know where, like, it takes off by itself. The Doctor's like, he didn't, like, purposely do it.
Right, the Time Lords did it.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know where we're going, and can't get back. And the Doctor's like, I want to go explore. And Joe doesn't.
That does seem odd.
She's like, I just want to go back home. And, like, it's too scary. There might be scary things I don't want to explore. And the doctor's like, I've been stuck on Earth for a very long time, Joe. A very long time. I'm gonna go look at this planet. But, like, I don't know. Joe's attitude towards seeing a new planet seems a little odd.
For Joe. I mean, like, for you, that seems about right.
I'd still want to go check out a planet. Like, if I knew the atmosphere was fine and everything. I'd still be like, cool, let's go look at a planet. Once trouble started, I'd be like, all right, now let's go. But, like, I wouldn't be initially opposed to it.
Right. She has no sort of awe at all about, like, being on an alien planet, being on another world. She's just like, ooh, I don't know about that. It's not like, oh yeah, well, that's just how her character would be. It feels weird.
Well, as soon as they exit the TARDIS, she runs up and grabs this flower and like, look, it has all these different colored petals. And, like, then she's, like, into it.
Yeah.
Like, really quickly. There was that initial sort of weirdness.
We're working on a Doctor Who RPG, and Joe's character is somebody is a companion who's very like, everything's dangerous and maybe we should just stay at home this time. I don't know. I just thought about that. I think about that every time you're like, yeah, adventures. And I'm like, no, because you would be that character.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, I would be opposed to adventures with danger, but just normal adventures are probably okay.
I don't know if adventures without danger are adventures.
Sure they are. Like, it's an adventure to go to someplace new and, like, see a play. That's not dangerous, unless it's, like, audience participation, and you get drug up on stage and you suddenly have to perform. And everyone looks at you like, look at this dumb asshole.
So that was enough to be strike 2 for you, was it?
I mean, it was strike-ish.
Okay.
No, the biggest strike is this serial is boring, you guys. It's very draggy.
So,
oh, but we want to talk about what we see before we even arrive on the planet. We see one of Toni's favorite things. A big old robot.
Oh, man. It's a good robot, too, you guys. That's a good one. It's all clunky, and it's got, like, arms that are just like connected to the body by one joint, so they can just move up and down, and they're way too long. It looks very ineffective, and I love it.
You were, like, squeeing the second they showed up on screen.
I love robots.
And then after they land and Joe and the Doctor leave, we see the first creature on this planet, which is a watermelon man.
They look almost exactly like the watermelon Stevens from Steven Universe.
They do, except kind of shitty spandex.
If they were made with real people in shitty spandex instead of animated. I mean, they're tall. They're not, like, watermelon sized.
And they are a uncomfortable parallel with Native Americans.
Like, let's talk about it.
Let's
talk about... There's a lot of weird political stuff in this serial. The thing about this serial is that... What did you read? That was, like, one of the first ones that was, like, unapologetically...
No, it just said it was the first one with, like, social commentary, which I disagree with. But, yeah. It was the first Doctor Who with social commentary, said Wikipedia, which is dumb. It's not the first one with social commentary. But, yes.
But it's a very specific kind of social commentary. This is kind of akin to Oxygen, where you have, like, this corporation that's coming in and being sketchy.
It also reminds me a lot of Empress of Mars, which we just watched, but, like, in the reverse.
But it was, like, it's specifically about, like, the dangers of imperialism. But there are these creatures who are native to this planet.
Who pretty quickly become basically servants.
And there's at some point where they're talking about there are settlers there. Human settlers, Earth's too full, so they went to this new planet to settle it, and they're just trying to figure out how to survive. And there's this mining company that also wants it. I'm just, broad strokes, here's the plot of this thing, okay? I told you.
There's settlers who have servants who were the natives, and there's a mining corporation, IMC, that is coming, and, like, we actually have the rights to be here, not you settlers.
But the way that, like, the natives of the planet are treated is very, very awkward. There's, like, at one point where the Doctor's like, oh, well, can't you just wipe out the savages? Like, that should be easy. And it's like, whoa, what? They live here! No, you can't just wipe them out. That's not cool. They were here first. Like, I know you're all very British, so... I don't know, it was very interesting watching this and then watching,
Empress of Mars.
And it's like, this is a very, very different attitude that the Doctor has.
He's grown.
The show has grown.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
I think we spend way too much time with these colony people and not enough time with the native people who are the interesting characters.
Oh, also, that's where the interesting set is.
We are stuck inside this boring-ass colony for, like, 5 episodes. And, like, we get to see the native people's city once or twice, barely. It's way more interesting visually.
Yeah, it's a fantastic set.
So yeah, that's the basic. We're done. Well, let's go back. So they've arrived on the planet. They get found by the colony, sort of taken into the colony. And then we sort of meet, your prime colony people. You got your leader. You got the guy who doesn't agree with the leader. Though I think this is the first time that the guy who doesn't agree with the leader, neither one of them are evil. They're both kind of good, but also...
They're just people.
Both also make a lot of mistakes. I think one of them is too sort of, oh, let's not cause a, scene. And the other one's a little too, let's punch people. So they're extremes, but not evil,
Yeah, normally when we have this sort of duo, you have one well, I'm the wise, smart, old leader. You're the young, brash person who's going to take over and probably get us in a war. But
neither one of them are necessarily shown in a super negative light.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But we've also had this a billion times before. So I was excited to go to space, but I didn't realize it was going to be so that we get basically the same plot we always get. So... Anyway, they're there. They meet those people. We also meet Mary, who is Joe's new friend, and I love her.
And adorable. I wanted her to come with us. It was that's a companion.
She's the leader's
daughter.
Daughter?
Yes.
Okay. She's adorable. And those are the three main ones. I don't think anybody else in the colony really matters.
And then there are others.
Basically, they're cannon fodder for this guy who shows up. This stranger who says that he was attacked by the watermelon people.
Gosh, he was frustrating. So, he shows up, and he's I was from an earlier group of settlers, and everyone died, and I'm the last one here. The natives were peaceful at first, and then they turned on us, and somehow I'm the only one who survived. Okay, that's pretty obviously bullshit. At this point, it is pretty obviously bullshit. And then later, the doctor's hey, that guy? His story's pretty obviously bullshit. And everyone's yeah, probably. But then they continue to do nothing about it?
Here's his thing. He's from the IMC people, and he's just basically trying to stir up shit so that they can kick him out.
He's being a guy on the inside.
Which I accidentally skipped over a thing that we should probably talk about.
What's that?
Well, first off, I want to say it's the year 2472. Joe is talking to Mary. Mary's so is this the fashion on Earth now? And she's more or less. And she's it was way different when we left in 71. And then she's 1971? And she's no, 2471. Smash cut to a page a day calendar. It's March 2nd, 2472. And they rip it off. I was that's really silly. We have page a day calendars in 2472.
I hope we do.
But inside this hut with the calendar, we get this married couple, and they're just sort of summing up what all's happened. But they hear roars. And they're what is that? And they open the door, and there's a giant, evil lizard creature, which is just a projection of an iguana.
It's just stock footage of an iguana. It's not even a particularly threatening iguana.
Yeah, it's just sort of standing there.
Out.
And they're oh no! And then they run. And then something comes into the thing and kills them. Not the iguana. Why did they even need to show the iguana? Did the one guy get away? Or didn't they both die? Why did they show the iguana footage? In case one of them got away? It doesn't make sense.
Wait, did they die?
The woman definitely did.
I don't remember. To be honest, we watched this episode so long ago.
They do die. I know for a fact they die. And then the doctor goes to examine it and says, the claw marks, there's claw marks in here. It doesn't match the giant creature because how could it get inside the building?
Right. It's too big to have gotten inside and clawed someone to death.
After that's when the stranger shows up and says the natives killed all his people and the giant monsters and everything.
Giant lizards.
And then the doctor goes back to examine the scene, take samples and stuff, and a robot comes after him. That's the cliffhanger, is that robot from the beginning storms in and starts waving its arms at him.
Dun dun dun!
It's the end of episode 1. We're now into episode 2, which I've called Sorry, Charlie. The reason I say that is because the robot's name is Charlie. And then a ICM.
I was so happy it had a cute name.
Which is something mining corporation. It's IMC, not ICM. International. It's not international. Because it's inner space. It's something mining corporation.
Mining corporation. IMC.
This guy comes in. His name's Caldwell. I actually like Caldwell, but...
That's because Caldwell's great.
Yeah.
Great's a strong word.
Right.
He gets there. The
guy who plays Caldwell's been on Doctor Who 3 times before. He was Saladin in The Crusade. which is a little unfortunate. He was in the Dalek invasion of Earth. He was there when the Daleks should have clearly have seen the Doctor when they were hiding around a door. And he was some dude in the Faceless one, so I don't remember. I think he, maybe it was, ran the airport. Joe Fax! Caldwell works for IMC, and he's the only one who works for them that's not a dick. He stops the robot and says, they're really dumb. He's just sort of talking with the Doctor, and it's at this point that he's like, it's okay, everybody's fine. And the Doctor's like, no, people died here. And Caldwell's like, oh shit. Because, his people staged this thing, and he didn't realize they were killing people. Because he doesn't want to kill people.
I just realized who they are. They're the Scooby-Doo villain.
They kind of are.
This is a Scooby-Doo episode.
Extended Scooby-Doo episode.
I was just trying to scare people off of the property.
So they can have it.
By dressing up like giant lizards. This is Scooby-Doo!
Isn't it generally someone trying to keep their land? Or I guess sometimes it's people
trying to scare other people off. This is your basic Scooby-Doo plot.
And we also find out that the TARDIS is missing, which in the first episode, the natives...
Watermelon Men.
Yeah, which everybody calls primitives. They took the TARDIS. They just push it over and carry it away.
I love when that happens. I have so many questions when people, tip the TARDIS over, or, the Doctor pulls his hand out and pushes it along. Because, how much does a TARDIS weigh? Does it weigh as much as a police box?
Sure.
Or does it weigh as much as a spaceship with a bunch of rooms?
I think it's plot dependent.
Good answer.
So the Doctor gets taken to... Well, he actually drives Caldwell to IMC, their spaceship that's there. He gets put in a waiting room, which is just... All he can do is, watch war movies, war films. He's very annoyed by it.
Is that supposed to be some sort of commentary? In the future, our entertainment is too violent? Or no? Am I reading too much into that?
No, I think you're right. So we've met Caldwell, who's the good IMC. And now we meet the other two primary IMC people, who is Captain Dent, who is deliciously evil. He's got a very I'm bored with everybody attitude. And then his sort of assistant, Morgan, who carries out Dent's evil deeds, who was originally supposed to be a woman. Someone stepped in and said, this might be read as too sexual. Make it a guy. But they had already cast a woman, but they went ahead and paid her, which is nice.
That's gross and then nice.
I bet it would have been nicer if she could have played the character.
But just, her being a woman was inherently too sexy?
Well,
for family TV?
I think they were worried it would imply too much of a sexual relationship between her and Dent, because he's sort of her superior, I guess, and she's doing his bidding.
That's super gross. Anyway. Yeah. Past was fucked up, you guys.
But then that's when we find out... Well, first off, Caldwell's pissed that they're killing people. And he's like, we gotta do what we gotta do. Deal with it. We also learn that, they're basically just trying to push the colonists out, saying they have a prior claim.
You're trying to Scooby-Doo them away.
So that they can mine for Duralinium? Duralinium? Trillium.
It should have been Trillium.
Yeah, I think in a novelization they did tie in IMC with the space pirates.
Really?
Yeah, because there's some similarity there.
Yeah.
With space miners and etc.
Yeah, the future mining business seems super cutthroat. I don't know anything about the present mining business, so maybe that all checks out.
Miners are all evil. Have you not seen Galaxy Quest? Even when they're tiny miners. They're very violent.
I don't know if we can say miners are all evil.
All miners are evil, and all miners, small children, are also evil.
Neither of those things are true. Okay.
Miners are evil. So, Dent has a chat with the Doctor. They are basically both well, we disagree about everything. And then sends him on his way. But Dent is like, hey, Morgan, go take the Doctor back to the little domicile. By the way, it was a dome building. I kept calling it domicile.
I'm feeling clever.
Yes. Take him back to where Caldwell picked him up, that hut that got attacked. Take him back there, and then say that he was murdered by the creatures. Basically saying, hey, Morgan, go take him back and kill him. And Morgan's like, yeah, I'll do that. It's still kind of sexual, damn.
But in a very sexual way.
So he does. On the way there, the watermelon people... Which, is that offensive to call them watermelon people? Probably. Yeah. I don't know their actual names. I think they were said once, but it's Euraxians or something.
Were they named?
I think they were, but I don't remember what they were called.
I don't remember them being name dropped at all.
I think they're called whatever the planet is. Uns. I think it's Euraxians or something like that.
Alright. I think watermelon people's fine.
So, they get stopped by them, and they have spears, and I guess they're wanting to... I don't know. I don't know why they're suddenly attacking.
Because the cliffhanger's coming up.
No, not here. This is something else. This is like right in the middle. So they're driving back to the hut. They get stopped by these 3 natives. They have spears and they're coming to attack. And the doctor gets out of the buggy. They're in a little dune buggy thing. And he goes and he like karates them. One of them starts swinging a thing at him. He flips him over his shoulder with a stick.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, actually, that's what happens. The first one throws the spear. The doctor catches the spear, turns it around, and hits him with it. But he breaks off the head of the spear and then just uses it as a stick to fling the other one over him. Which is pretty badass. But also, like, why is this happening?
I don't know, but the choreography, like the fight choreography we've gotten, I feel like has been steadily improving since we've been stuck on Earth.
The doctor takes care of them and is like, well, let's go back to where we're going. And we go back to the colony for a little bit. We meet this guy who is working on a generator because it's not doing great and they're fixing it. He's got one of the natives helping him. And we learn that they can read minds.
Yeah, they're telepathic, which means they can understand you. But even though they're telepathic, they don't seem to speak. It's not like, oh, they're telepathic and they communicate telepathically. It's like they're telepathic and they can understand you.
Like, when we get to the city, none of them talk, and it's very interesting. They do a lot of pointing. The stranger sort of sneaks around, kills that native and the technician, and frames it on the native. And it's like, oh, I came in and he was killing the technician and I had to stop him. And everyone just buys it. Also, after he does that, he, like, fucks up the generator.
He's like, oh, I can fix it.
So the guy drops the doctor off at the dome. The doctor's like, I think this attack was fake. And he's like, how would it have been faked? With this? And, like, the robot comes back in and it has giant rubber fake claws on.
It's so good. It's so good. Those big rubbery, I think it's 3 fingers with, like, this big
claws. Yeah, it's like giant fingernails.
It's just these big foam hands on the end of these spindly little robot arms that, again, can only, like,
go up and down.
It's so good.
That's the cliffhanger, which is the same cliffhanger as the first episode, but with rubber hands.
So it's scarier. They've upped the stakes.
We're now into episode 3, which I've called All's Well That's Caldwell.
Oh.
Morgan has a gun on the doctor. And the doctor's like, you can't shoot me, that'll ruin your story.
Lizards don't shoot people. Duh.
So Morgan, like, thinks and then, like, moves his hand to, like, press the robot button to kill. And the doctor karate kicks the gun and the control out of his hand and then kicks the guy. The doctor karates his way out of a lot of problems in this serial. And then he deactivates the robot and gets out of there. The IMC workers fly closer to the building and land and come in.
They have a line, which is like, fly in super close. They're like, that's really close to the settlement. And he's like, I don't like to walk. I was like, damn, okay. He's like, I refuse to walk any more than I have to, so.
So he walks in, struts in, that's Dent, by the way. He struts in and says, we have a claim that says we can mine it. And they're like, we have a thing saying we can live here and you can't mine it. And then he's like, well, there must have been some problem. We'll get an adjudicator to come and, like, sort shit out. And then the colony people are like, that's going to take too much time and not only give you time to do the shit you're going to do anyway.
Right. You'll be mining the place the whole time there's an adjudicator. And by the time it's all said and done, no matter what the ruling is, the planet will be stripped by then.
And so then the doctor comes in and it's like, I'm going to spoil your plan. And explains everything, you know. It was a robot, and it's the miners,
Guys, and
they're all the worst.
We're in an episode of Scooby-Doo, the doctor says.
And no one believes him. No one really buys it.
Everyone says, the doctor, Scooby-Doo's just a cartoon. Dogs can't talk in real life.
The stranger, like, he's even, like, saying the stranger here. This guy that just showed up and said that he was attacked by lizards. You can't believe him. And then he's like, no, it was real. And they're like, oh, okay. But Joe wants proof, so her and the Brash young guy, I think his name's David, I'm not 100% sure about that, decide they're going to go sneak onto the IMC ship, which is the worst plan, and will bite them in the ass eventually.
It does, pretty quickly, actually.
Because the stranger calls in and is like, hey, they're coming. And they get caught pretty quickly. The doctor, meanwhile, has fixed the power for them, and then finds out that Joe has been captured.
He fixes the power, and he's like, by the way, who was working on this before me? Because they've been actively sabotaging it. And then no one does anything with this information at all.
Yeah, the guy just sticks around for a very long time, just fucking shit up, and everyone just sort of, like, goes along with him.
Yeah.
The doctor talks to Dent, and Dent's like, this is not going to look good for you guys, and the doctor's trying to call off the adjudicator or whatever, I don't remember. But, like, whatever, Dent, like, threatens to blow up Joe if he doesn't do what he wants. There's a button he can press, and he'll blow up Joe.
Yeah, they arrested Joe. And
they've attached her and the brash young guy, David, I think. All brash young guys are called David. They've, like, attached them to, like, a big bomb thing.
Yes.
They decide to escape, which is pretty adorable. So, like, what do we do now? And they're like, oh, escape. The handcuffs that they're in. There's grease on the bomb.
Yes.
Right? So they're going to grease themselves up.
They grease up Joe's wrists. And Joe just slips her wrists out.
Before she does, though, he's like, we'll grease you up and let you go. And she's like, by the way, I took a course in escapology once, just to remind you, even though she doesn't need to say that, it's not entirely relevant. She didn't come up with this plan.
Right, and it's just grease. It's not like she's using super special knowledge.
It's just grease. So, but she gets out.
Which, by the way, super special escapology knowledge. If someone's going to zip tie your wrists together, why are you laughing? This is important. It could save your life. Don't put your
wrists together.
Yeah.
Put your fists facing down.
Facing downwards. And then you can just turn them together and then pull them out.
The more you know.
That only works if the person kidnapping you hasn't seen the same Tumblr post I have.
Joe and Toni. Sometimes they know things. Toni fact! So she gets out and he's like, run. And she's like, no, I have to save you now. And starts smashing on his chains with a rock, which sets off an alarm, but she breaks him free anyway. But he starts to get away. And Joe gets grabbed by an IMC guy. Literally picks her up and is holding her under his arm.
Under one arm as she just, like, kicks.
And shooting at David with the other arm. Like, that dude's pretty tough.
That's pretty strong.
But the guy, I'm just going to start calling him David, even if he's not David. He's a David.
That's fine.
David gets away and runs off. There's some other IMC guys driving a buggy, and he's, like, he just runs down the path instead of getting off the path.
That really drove you crazy.
But he runs up to another IMC guy who's, like, standing in front of a building. And then we hear gunshots. And then the IMC guy tells the other two IMC guards, like, it's okay, I got him. And they're like, okay, we're going to go back home now.
All right, thanks. We're not going to check that out at all.
And
it's Caldwell, right?
Caldwell has faked killing him because Caldwell's an okay guy.
He's not so bad. He would murder you.
Yeah, he'll just steal your shit and stuff because he wants to make money, but he's not gonna kill people. And he takes him in and, like, fixes him up because he did get shot, so he, like, does some, like, medicine on him.
He's got a big space needle that I didn't care for.
There was blood too.
Yeah.
And then he fixes him up. David goes back to the colony and is like, everybody get together, we're gonna storm these fuckers, and, like, rallying everyone up. And the leader's like, no, we should do the law.
I can't tell you how many times that guy's like, I'm in charge here. And everyone just sort of looks at him. Like, yeah, so anyway.
He wants to attack, and the doctor's like, hold on. Let me go talk to Caldwell. We will want an inside man. My plan will be better than just storming the ship. So he goes and asks Caldwell to release Joe. Caldwell tries to do that.
He says he's going to try.
He does, but, like, by the time
he
gets there, like, she's gone because she's been kidnapped by the natives.
Yes. Which, why do they do that? There's no reason why they do that.
I don't know.
I think it's somewhat implied that they did it because they were going to do, like, a human sacrifice type deal.
So the doctor talks to everyone. Once again says, this stranger, whose name is Norton, according to my notes, is awful. And anyway, he's come up with a better plan of storming the ship, which is storming the ship with karate.
It's true, that's his plan.
There's a great scene, like, Mary goes up to talk to these two guards, and she's, like, talking to them, while the doctor and David sneak up behind them. The doctor taps one of them on the shoulder and goes, excuse me. They turn around, and they go, hi-ya! Doctor pushes them down with his 2 fingers. And then Mary does this, like, most adorable, like, smile and, like, skips away.
Oh, she has the biggest grin I've ever seen. Oh, she's so cute. I wish she was a companion. I loved her so much.
So they steal the guards' clothes and put them on, which the doctor looks pretty good.
Yeah, I like whenever the doctor has to wear an outfit. I'm just gonna throw this out there. This outfit was like up there with, like, white t-shirt. Am I wrong?
Toni like? Is that...
Well, first of all, never say that again. Second of all, yes.
All right.
They looked very much like the costumes for the Robo-Men in the Peter Cushing movie.
Now with the helmets and everything.
Mm.
That also reminded me a little bit of like the Sebastians in Farscape. You got that red and black going on.
Oh shit, yeah. I'm so glad we managed to talk about Farscape this episode.
They dress up like guards and they attack and they go in and take over the ship. Then the Doctor finds out that Joe was taken, and then we see Joe getting taken into like this cave area, and it's just like shadows all up on her face, and all you can see is her eyes, and it's pretty ominous.
I thought that was a nice shot. Not a great cliffhanger.
No.
But a good shot.
And that was the end of episode 3. We're now into episode 4, which I've called the Master Adjudicator.
Oh, guys, because the Adjudicator shows up, and it's the Master.
Who would have guessed? Actually, it took me a little bit to like, oh, because they didn't show him right away. I was like, why aren't they showing him? Oh, wait a second.
I know who that fucker's gonna be.
So the Doctor, though, before this happens, the Doctor wants to rescue Joe, but the leader guy is like, maybe you should buy her with food. This has happened before. You just offer the natives food, and then they'll give you her back, which is a little weird. But yes, then a tiny model ship shows up, flies in, is very clearly a model.
It's so small. It's so small that I loved it immediately.
It's the Master. But then, like,
can we talk about his outfit, though? Because he has this, like, really cool high collar cape thing. It's a good look for him.
I guess you gotta dress all fancy if you're an adjudicator.
I think so.
But meanwhile, on the IMC ship, David's like, look, here's a projector. What has it got? Oh, look, it's giant lizard footage.
And what's over here in this cabinet? Giant foam claws!
We have proof. Meanwhile, Joe has been brought to a higher up in the watermelon community, which is just a very tired-looking brain.
Yeah, a watermelon guy with a big brain. He does look tired, doesn't he?
He doesn't even look like a watermelon guy. He just looks like a guy with a brain for a head. And Joe screams, even though it's just like, this is just a dude. Calm down.
That's rude.
He just looks that way. It's rude to scream. One of the colonists wants to kill the workers, and David has to stop him. And then Morgan's like, listen, I will rat out Dent. He's the dude who did all the bad stuff, not me. Let me go get you something.
I'll get you some more evidence.
More evidence. But it's a trick, and he pulls a gun on everybody and gives the other workers guns, and now they have the upper hand, which they use to destroy the evidence. The fake claws, and I guess the projector.
Then the Frankenstein mask.
Meanwhile, the Doctor has found his way to the city, and then he's like, wow, these natives used to be really advanced, and then they got dumb for some reason. Look at this mural painted here. Like, you can see, like, the artwork gets shittier as it goes. As if someone was just in a rush to finish it.
As if we really need to finish the set piece.
The end of it's like a sacrifice. They're throwing some dude into like a fire.
Here's the thing. I spent a lot of time thinking that they were like setting this up to be like, just kidding, you're super racist. And like they're actually super smart. Mm. That's kind of where I thought this was going.
But it doesn't.
Like, just kidding, you made too many assumptions and now you should feel bad sort of thing. But it didn't. They're just primitives.
So one of the brain guys comes in, points at the sacrifice thing, points at the Doctor, and then leaves. And they're like, shit, maybe we should get out of here. Meanwhile, court is now in session. It's the Master. He's hearing from both sides of the court.
He's so diplomatic, too. He's like, interesting. Yes, well, now I've heard your side, and I'll have to take a lot of time to think about it. He sells it. He does. He's very convincing.
But back in the cave, the Doctor has an amazing plan to get out of here, which is coin tricks. He's like, where's that? Oh, it's behind Joe's ear. Huh? Where is it now? Or it's in my mouth.
Where is it now? Hiya! And then he runs away.
It's great, but it also is a little condescending. That he tricks a guard with magic tricks. They run away, and then a chase scene. A very Scooby-Doo chase scene, I might add. Like dodging down hallways, and yeah, you know. They get caught, so this entire thing was pointless anyway. And they get brought to their leader.
It's time to talk about the thing. The thing that happens in this episode. The thing that I'm willing to say made this serial worth watching.
It is a tiny baby puppet brain that it's just like a throne comes out and it's sitting on it and it's it's just like wiggling its limbs. Have you guys ever seen that Nickelodeon show Wienerville, where the guy sticks his head through like a curtain and there's like a tiny puppet body? It's kind of like that.
It's exactly that. That's what it is.
Except I think the head's a puppet too. I don't think it's like a real head.
I think it is.
Is it?
I mean, there's like stuff, but I think it's somebody's head.
I think it's two puppets. I think it's a head puppet and a body puppet. Because his lip sync doesn't entirely match up. Then again, it could have been a different
I was going to say, I thought
actor.
it was just like a shitty mask that they had on somebody's real face.
It could be. It could be the audio was separate. It was recorded separately from the actor doing it, too. Because that happens a lot. Because, like, I imagine if you record it on set, all you're going to get is... But yeah, it's an adorable little baby puppet.
Right, well, now who's being condescending?
He's an adorable little baby puppet. Who's a cute little leader of the underground city peoples?
Who's
you
got
are.
a cute little squishy brain? It's you! He basically tells them that he's gonna kill him.
And the doctor's like, how about no? And the brain's like, well, you're an advanced, super smart guy, doctor. This woman you're with has no value.
No value
Rude.
whatsoever.
But since you're so great, sure, we'll let you go.
Just never come here again or we'll super murder you.
And the doctor's like, fair enough, and leaves. And then the doctor walks in to see the master in court. And they're like, the fuck?
The master's reaction to seeing the doctor is the best, too. Because he's, like, being all official, saying, oh, yes, I think I'll have to really deliberate on this. I'll have to really think about this case. And he sees the doctor, he's just like,
case adjourned, we gotta go think about stuff, bye!
Gotta go, bye, okay. Like, loses all his composure.
And then they talk. Why are you pretending to be the adjudicator? And he's like, I am the adjudicator. I've got paperwork and everything. He's like, well, it's probably forged. He's like, well, yeah, it's forged, but immaculate.
But forged well.
He's like, what kind of paperwork do you have? And the doctor's like,
The doctor's like, I don't participate in that bureaucratic nonsense.
maybe one day I'll make some psychic paper. But for now...
I do love the idea that the master is just like, you didn't think to have you don't have any kind of identification whatsoever. And he shows him, he like pulls out his little space wallet and he's like, here's all my IDs, where are yours? And the doctor's like, I don't fuss with that. Basically, that's his downfall. That's like how the master blackmails him this episode. He's like, yeah, and you won't say anything about anything, or else I'm gonna be like, hey, does that guy have any kind of identification?
I mean, that does happen later. Like, the doctor's trying to say, like, he's fake and stuff, and he's like, well, let's see your papers. And the doctor's like, shit.
Really gotta think about that psychic paper thing.
But the master comes back and he's like, I'm ready to give my ruling. I rule in favor of the workers, the miners. You guys win. And the workers proceed to get super drunk. Like, I'm not joking. They get drunk.
They're so drunk. It's really, really fun to see, like, the very composed evil villain be drunk and then have to deal with the problem. Because like,
well, first off, it's like Caldwell's drunk also, and just like talking about like, hey, aren't we the fucking worst? How bad are we? Then it's like, dude, you're harshing my buzz, man. Calm down. Did you see we won? We're gonna make so much money. Come on, man. Just be happy for once. God. The colony is going to do an appeal, basically. Well, that's what the leader wants to do. David wants to do a revolt, because that's David.
Right, that's a very David thing. You know, David.
For some reason, like, they call into the ship. Oh, no, wait, what it is David calls in to the ship and says, like, you have to get back here, there's something we need to do.
David pretends to be the adjudicator, and he's like, excuse me, this is totally the adjudicator. I need you in my office to sign some paperwork, please, so that we can make it official how great you are. Okay, thanks. And literally, like, it cuts to them, and it's like, do you think they bought that? And then, like, it cuts back to, like, everyone being drunk, like, oh, shit, okay. All right, everyone, we have to rally. Come on.
Dent is literally asleep. They have to wake him up. He's like, what? What? We won, right? Come on, guys, we won. But he's literally asleep and he wakes up and he's got just like the groggiest face ever. Or. So they get ready and they're going to go head over. Meanwhile, the leader of the colony is talking to the master. And the master's like, listen, you can have a case for an appeal if there was anything of historical significance here. And the leader's like, well, there's the primitive city. And the master's like, interesting.
Tell me more.
Meanwhile, Norton the stranger is futzing around with the generator again, gets found out, like someone finds him, and he kills the guy. Immediately heads out after killing the guy, he has like his gun, I think. And then David sees him and is like, well, where's so-and-so, the guy that he killed? And he's like, I don't know, I haven't seen him. And he's like, oh, okay, well go set up for the revolt that's about to happen. We're staking out so that we can shoot them when they come in. And then the IMC people come in and Norton just goes, yo, look out, it's an ambush. And
he gets shot.
He gets shot by David. David's like, motherfucker, and shoots him.
But it takes that long. It takes that long for them to be like, ah, shit.
I guess the doctor was right.
It was a very frustrating experience.
And then the shootout starts happening, and the master pulls a gun on the doctor and Joe, and is like, guess who's getting hit with some stray bullets?
Not you, because I love you.
That's in episode 4.
Like, let's be honest.
We're now into episode 5, which I've called Wiggle Room. You'll know why it's called Wiggle Room in a second.
Because that bit.
But the leader shows up, and the master quickly puts his gun away. Like, what's happening? David and his people win. But the master's like, look, this isn't going to look good for you guys since you did this revolt thing. That's really bad. But I'm willing to help if you'll take me to the primitive city. That's when the doctor's like, don't do it. He's not real. And then that's when the master's like, the doctor's like, see his credentials. And he's like, I have credentials. I just showed them to you. Where's yours? And I was like, right. That was a bad move. Why did I do that?
And literally everyone's like, yeah, who are you? Why have we just been listening to you?
The doctor tries to warn the leader. The leader doesn't listen to him. He tries to warn David. David doesn't listen to him. So the doctor pulls Joe's stunt and is like, I'm going to go check out the TARDIS. The master's TARDIS. And then Joe's like, but I didn't see a horse box. And he's like, Joe, you simple child. It doesn't always have to be a horse box.
That is the attitude he has.
He's like, also, if you recall, I still have his key from a previous serial. I don't remember when he got it, but I'm sure it happened. Is it also around this point that the IMC people are like, all the colonists need to leave? Start preparing your ship to go. And they're like, our ship's shitty.
They keep saying, this ship was old when we bought it. It won't survive in space. And they're like, well, we don't care. Leave. You lost. We won. You have to evacuate or we'll shoot you.
They're like, it's shitty. It's like, I'll have Caldwell take a look at it. But Doctor and Joe go to the master's TARDIS. The doctor sees that there's knows that there's a security beam. Detects that there's a security beam. And he does a thing. Does he use his sonic screwdriver?
I can't tell. I can't tell if it's a sonic screwdriver or if it's just a nondescript gadget. It wasn't clear enough for me to see.
But he's like, there's only a foot at the bottom of the door that doesn't have the security beam. So both him and Joe lay down and at the same time wiggle underneath the beam.
Yeah, one doesn't go after the other. Also, neither one of them tries to jump over it, which I feel like...
Well, no, it's from a foot and it goes all the way to the top.
Oh.
Because he was checking out where all the beam was, and he's like, the only clear place is that gap at the bottom.
Why would there be any gap?
I'm going to say it's plot dependent.
Good answer.
So they wiggle under, and it's adorable. Meanwhile, Dent has looked into the master, finds out that the master is not the adjudicator. Which they find out, they get send us information about the adjudicator, and it prints up on a dot matrix printer thing. It's it's black and white.
It's the future.
Can't get color photos in the future?
Listen, you can't work with what you don't have, Joseph. What, did you want them to actually be in the future?
Yes. But anyway, Joe and the doctor are going through the master's files, which he just has. It was 6 file cabinets, and they find the real credentials of the actual adjudicator, and Joe's like, well, we have the proof we need, and then just walks out the door, and then turns back around because the doctor's still looking for stuff. But she walked through the beam. She forgot that there was a beam.
To be honest, that'd be me.
So it sets off a thing. The master has a compact mirror, basically, that he opens up, and he sees them on it. And he presses a button on it. Gas starts pouring out of a vent in the TARDIS.
Can we talk about that?
Yes, that's what we're here for.
Oh shit, you're right. Having gas slowly fill the room is the most ineffective villain plot ever.
It works fairly well here.
I suppose.
They both pass out.
But they shouldn't, because the doors are still open. And
But there's a beam there keeping it in.
Listen! Not only that, the door is still open, so they could have gotten out before the room filled with gas. Except that the doctor walks closer to it. The doctor walks towards the gas, and then the doors close. The doctor's like, oh shit, what's that? And, like, goes to investigate and then passes out.
Right.
Because he walked towards the gas pouring out of the vents. The point is, it's never a good plan. If you're going to murder someone, don't do it by slowly filling a room with gas. Alright, thank you.
You're welcome. So the master's like, ha, I defeated him. And then the leader of the colony is like, we don't actually know where the city is, but I think the doctor's been there. And the master's like, oh shit, I gotta go wake him up. The master revives the doctor and says, hey, I want to use you as a guide. And if you don't do it, I will kill Joe.
That's my MO.
Which they're in these tubes. They're both in tubes. And he leaves Joe in a tube. Takes the doctor out of a tube. Leaves the tube door open. It really bothers me that he left the tube door open. Why didn't he close the tube door, Toni? Why didn't he close the tube?
Why would he close it?
Because, I mean, you're just going to leave. You close the door. Anyway, Dent leads a revolt of his own, takes over the colony base, gets their weapons back, which had been previously stolen by the colonists. There's another fucking shootout in the same area. Like, it's not even in a new place. They might have reused footage for all I know. This serial's kind of boring. But then they use their leader as a shield, and everybody gives up. And Dent's like, I'm going to try you guys for treason. He have another trial, and he sentences them to death. And he's like, the only way that he will suspend this death penalty is if they leave the planet, which will probably kill them anyway. So that's when that happens. I said it a little too early, but that's when it happens. Oh, so the doctor agrees to go with the master to the city. Drops the TARDIS key outside of the door on their way out. They drive in that buggy to the city, and then the natives, Wile E. Coyote them, push a giant boulder off a cliff into the side of the buggy. Like, they get out of the buggy before it rock rolls into them. I don't know why they didn't just drive forward slightly.
I'm gonna say that it's plot reasons.
Plot dependent?
Yeah.
Alright. The master takes out one of the natives. I think he shoots him with his little thing. And the doctor, like, points behind him. And the master's like, not that old trick. Oh, shit, there is someone. And then, like, shoots the other native. Like, wow, the doctor just pointed out someone for the master to shoot.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
He's helping the master, literally helping the master kill someone. He's turned to the dark side, you guys. So Mary gets on the intercom at the colony and tells everyone to get on board the ship. Caldwell is like, it's probably going to be fine. And Mary's like, no, it's not, and you know it. And then, like, just proceeds to guilt the fuck out of him. And Caldwell is officially guilted and goes and, like, talks to Dent. Is like, hey, I checked out the ship. It'll probably explode on takeoff. So maybe you shouldn't. It's gonna explode on takeoff. And Dent's like, okay. Well, we'll be sure to be out of the area then. Like, damn.
Dent's cold.
But then some of, I think it's Caldwell and Morgan find the key outside of the TARDIS, and they find Joe. But they've also set off the beam. So the master's looking at it on his little compact mirror, and is like, I told you not to, help them, and, like, slowly goes to push a button that's going to kill the kill Joe button. He's very slowly, like, moving his finger to it, and that's the
cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger for episode 5. And now that's the end of episode 5. We're into episode 6, the last episode, which I've called Fly or Die, Rule or Serve.
It's alright.
It's alright. I don't care. This is a boring serial anyway. Guess how the doctor gets out of this? He karate kicks it out of his hand. It's how he solves all his problems. Karate kicking things.
I don't know why you're so mad. That's awesome.
It is pretty cool. I just want the doctor to do that for every cliffhanger. I don't care what it is. He just karate kicks something. He's literally hanging off a cliff by an umbrella. He karate kicks the umbrella, and it flings him somewhere to safety.
That's a much better cliffhanger.
So they get into a little bit of a tussle and are caught by the natives. Joe is released and says that the master and the doctor went to the city. Master and the doctor are taken to the room with the fancy painting, and the doctor basically catches the master up a little bit. But the master already knows everything.
Yeah, he's here for a reason.
Joe, meanwhile, tries to warn everybody about the master and then proceeds to guilt Caldwell some more. That's everybody's role, is to just guilt Caldwell. And Caldwell is officially guilted, sufficiently guilted, and hides Joe in his car. He's like, I'll take you to the city. The master's like, I knew all this information because I stole it from the Time Lords. And basically, this race of people developed a doomsday weapon, and I want it. And he's like, to get out of the situation they're in, the master has his gas mask. He's like, well, I'm going to gas him and then we'll get out. And the doctor's like, what about me? Do I have a gas mask? And he's just like, hold your breath.
See how that goes.
So they gas the brains. They escape. Also, by the way, the brains can't... There's a point where they can't see. But they seem to see okay.
I think it's plot dependent.
Plot dependent. So they gas the brains and they get out of there. And then everybody, all the colonists get on board the ship. There's like this sort of stalemate of like, they're not going to take off. He's like, but if you leave, I'll shoot you. There's this whole like, you either fly or you die thing.
Oh, that's the title. That's why you titled it what you did.
Yep. What? That's why I did it.
Oh, man.
But it turns out not everybody's on board. David was hiding. And there's one of the miners watching the ship. And David attacks him. And then they fall down this cliff.
They fall down this cliff into this pit of mud. And they mud wrestle for like 10 minutes. I swear to you, it feels like that scene is that long.
It does. But you were enjoying it.
I would like to play in mud. You like made faces the whole time that fight was happening.
I don't like mud.
Mud is so much fun.
It's dirty.
I mean, yes.
It gets wet, dirt.
We had this thing when I was a kid called Mud Mania, and it was just like this obstacle course, like in this mud pit, and it was awesome.
No, thank you. Can you just have a dry obstacle course? Look, I don't mind water. Like, wet dirt, I don't like. It's, like, gross and slimy.
Yeah, it's great.
No, it's not. I don't like mud. Oh, it's just, it gets in places and it oozes and it goozes and it, I don't know.
You're having a very strong reaction to something that's not, like, really a problem in your everyday life.
It could be. Okay, like, I don't... also, like, if you, like, walk through mud, it gets all on your shoes, and it's hard to get off, and it's just... It's a hassle. I don't like mud.
That's why if you know you're going to get muddy, you get, like, shitty shoes.
Like, if I get attacked by the mind of evil, it'd probably be a mudslide.
Don't understand your strong reaction.
I don't like mud.
Did somebody, like, make you touch mud as a small child?
No, I just don't like mud. I did grow up in an environment where everyone likes mud, which I don't get.
I bet that's super fun.
Also, I have had to help get a truck that was stuck in the mud, help get it out of the mud. And that's like you, like, gotta shove, like, 2x4s underneath the wheels, and they're just spinning in the mud, spraying everything, and mud gets all over everywhere, and you gotta dig into the mud. It's just, no, it's frustrating, it's gross, and I don't like it.
And it apparently scarred you for life.
There is no situation where mud is good. Oh. Where were we? Let's talk about Doctor Who, and not my canon mud fear.
They call into the ship, and they're like, yeah, it's not a very good signal, which is their excuse for having so much blue snow around it, I think.
For bad CSO.
Oh, yeah.
Color separation overlay?
I was surprised by the
abbreviation?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, see, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time saying color separation overlay. We got to get to the point quicker. So I'm not going to say color separation overlay. I will abbreviate color separation overlay to the abbreviation for color separation overlay, which is CSO. And not color separation overlay.
All right, thanks for being brief.
You're welcome. So from here on out, I will say not color separation overlay, but CSO.
I'm so tired.
And that has been my announcement about color separation overlay.
I'm as tired
or
as a human
as I will
being
now be
can
referring
be
to it, CSO.
Anyway.
We're going along at a good pace. What happened?
What happened?
So, they haven't flown away yet because they still need to fix the thing. And as soon as that's done, they'll leave. So, Caldwell is driving Joe to the thing, and they stop at the crashed buggy that has the rock that smashed into it. And they're taking a look at that, and the ship takes off. The ship with the colonists in it takes off. He's like, oh, hey, it's flying, it's great. And then it explodes. And then Caldwell's like, shit, I said it was okay. I feel like awful. I'm a terrible human being. And I'm also like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I did not expect this to happen.
They just killed all those people.
I thought they would just wait there until the doctor did whatever the doctor needs to do. Which right now he's just goofing off with the master. But I thought they'd wait for, like, David or something.
But no. They just all die.
Spoilers, they don't.
They don't.
But at the time I was watching it, I was like, oh shit.
When the reveal doesn't come right away. They make you wait for that shit.
So, the master is taking the doctor on a tour of the doomsday device and is like, it can explode the sun. And it says, you know that something nebula? I don't remember what he says. And the doctor's like, yes. And then it says it in a very it's this, obviously. And he's like, that nebula was the result of a test of the weapon. And he's like, oh, cool.
No, it's not cool. It's decidedly uncool.
Then Joe and Caldwell make it to the city. They go in. Luckily, one of the natives is coming out, so that they attack him and then go in. Then they get thoroughly lost. There's actually no real point for them to be there. They don't do anything there. They just see the city. That's about it.
Yep.
They don't accomplish anything there.
Nope.
The Master's like, basically, I'm going to hold the universe at ransom, say, do what I want, or I'll explode the shit out of you with this weapon. And I want you to join me, Doctor. We will rule over everybody. We can rebuild the universe in our, image.
I like that the Doctor's the Master, rather. The Master's
whole... We can save everyone, he says.
This is the Master's pitch of if you're in charge of the universe, you can make sure that there's peace and, whatever good shit you like. I know how you like all that being good crap. If you were in charge of everything, you could make sure everybody was, all about that being good crap.
Oh, and then we get a quick cutaway with Dent and what are we going to say when these people blew up? It's going to look bad on us. And we're we'll say we offered to help and they refused. Because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's an evil asshole. But anyway, back to the Master. Well, the Master's there's only two options. You can either rule or you serve.
Oh.
This is my title for this episode. And the Doctor says he doesn't want to rule the universe. He wants to see the universe.
There's a thing that I really like about this, which is we have these established Time Lords. And the thing that we know about the Time Lords is that they don't interfere, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have all this knowledge, they observe a lot, but they don't interfere. I think this is the first time that the word renegades has been used, but renegade Time Lords is a thing. And the Master and the Doctor are both them. And they're both Time Lords are dumb, because they just sit around and they don't do anything, and we should be out in the universe doing stuff. And because at one point, the Master and the Doctor were friends. And that's probably, a big part of it. Of them being Time Lords they don't get it. We should be out in the universe. And at one point, the Master's we should be out in the universe ruling it. And the Doctor's wait, what? No, we should just be I don't know, looking at cool rocks and shit. That is a fun dynamic to me.
Yeah, they have that in common, but also on different, sides of the same coin sort of thing.
Yeah.
They both want to explore, but one of them wants to rule. The other one just wants to look at things.
I just want to see some stuff. Both of those things make them outsiders.
But then the baby puppet comes back out, and the Doctor and the Master both attempt to appeal to it. And this is why I want it. And the Doctor's don't do that, because that's dumb. They're now in court. There was the court with the adjudicator, which is the Master. There was the court with Dent. Now there's the court with the baby puppet. And then the puppet says that the weapon, if used, is the reason why they all sort of de-evolved, basically. It poisons the soil, which is a thing we saw earlier, is the colonists are having difficulty growing crops, because whatever they plant withers.
It makes me wonder why they hadn't, attempted to destroy the weapon in the first place, ages ago. If it had caused so many problems, and, it's a super weapon. Those are pretty bad. And, it's killing your planet. No, wait, you know what? It's good. I got it. I understand why. It's probably politics.
The Master pulls his gun out on the baby puppet, and then he just disappears from his hand. The baby puppet has teleportation powers, I guess?
Yeah, sure.
The baby puppet's basically just destroy the weapon. That's the best thing. It's going to destroy the city, too, but do it. And they points the Doctor over to there's two big buttons. One which will fire the weapon, I guess, and one which will destroy it. And the Doctor puts his finger over one, and the baby puppet shakes his head no. He moves it to the other button, and the baby's yes. So he presses it, and then he's get out, run, get away, save yourselves. And they go, and then the baby puppet starts shaking, and there's all these weird effects overlaid on it, and the camera's zooming in and out.
But nothing's happening.
And it's just the puppet going wiggle, really silly. And then they're leaving. They bump into Joe and Caldwell, who have done nothing. And they all team up and they leave the city. And then it explodes and there's a rock slide.
I feel this is a particularly big explosion. Or there's lots of them.
It happens once or twice, yeah. And the flames shoot out of the entrance. And then I said, the rock slide happens. They're fine, though. But then they are caught by the miners. And then the Master's hey, don't kill me. And they're we know you're not the adjudicator. And he's oh, shit. But then the colonists show up. They're okay.
They're fine. They all got off the ship.
And they start shooting at the miners. Another shootout happens in a different location this time, at least. And during the shootout, the master just
slips away.
And then the colonists basically win. The other miners surrender. Does Dent get shot at all? I don't remember. I don't care.
He sucks. Who cares about him?
During this whole kerfluffle, Joe and the Doctor slip away, trying to catch up to the Master. But the Master TARDIS is out before they can get to him. Which is, again, it's that tiny model ship, and it just goes boop instead of fading out.
Wait, I didn't say originally when the ship first lands, but it drives me crazy because the ship. It basically looks like some kind of jet, right? It's got wings and it's like a long body and like a nose cone and all the pieces of a jet. But it lands. It
swoops in horizontal to the ground, and then
it
tilts
lands
up.
like a rocket. Well, not the way a rocket lands, but.
It swooshes in with the bottom of it facing the ground, but then it tilts up and then lowers down.
Yes.
Vertically.
And that drove me insane.
Why?
Why would it work like that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, wouldn't it be easier to just go down an airplane?
It would.
Just because it looks cooler, I guess.
I don't know.
But then the Doctor's like, hey, your crop should grow now. He's telling that to David. And they're like, where's the leader? And he's like, I'm the leader now. Because someone had to fly the ship.
Someone had to take the ship up.
And it was the leader.
That legit got me. Yeah, I was like, what? No!
Somehow the TARDIS is there. How did the TARDIS get there? Did the native people bring it back before the city blew up?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm trying to remember and I am blanking. There's some throwaway line in it where it's like, oh yeah, so-and-so found it and brought it back. And you're like, okay.
Sure. But the Doctor calls it an antique with sentimental value. I thought that was cute. But they're going to call a real adjudicator to come and settle everything. And Caldwell's going to stay behind with them because he's a good guy now. He's going to stay with the colonists. And then the TARDIS disappears. We cut back to the brig being like, Doctor, come back at once. And the TARDIS appears. And then he's like, can't believe you tried that again. You'll never get that to work. And then, Joe's like, he doesn't know, and blah, blah, blah. And should we tell him? And then, the Doctor's like, he'd never understand. And the brig just, looks offended, what the fuck are they talking about? Why are they being jerks?
My favorite thing, though, is that there was just a moment where the brig was like, holy shit, it works! Is he afraid of me? No, he's not afraid of me. It worked, though. I'm gonna pretend like it worked.
And that's it. That's the end of the serial.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break. And we'll be right back for our final thoughts.
Okay, auditions for the new Earth Station Who co-host. Take one. Go ahead.
Hello, Stonehenge. Who takes the Pandora Cup, takes the universe. But, bad news everyone, 'cause guess who? Ha. Listen, you lot you're all whizzing about. It's really very distracting. Could you all just stay still a minute because I am talking?
Not too shabby. Can you close this up?
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating over 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. You never know where the TARDIS is going to go next. Earth Station Who podcast can be found at www.earthstationwho.com. Earth Station Who is a proud member of the ESO network. We are up on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or wherever fine podcasts are found. Peace, and we are done. Did I pass the audition?
We'll get back to you. Next.
Oh, we're back?
We're back. I'll edit it.
You gotta say we're back. Or else how will people know?
We'll just hear final thoughts. Final thoughts. This is not my favorite serial. There's 3 great things in it. There's the brig saying, Doctor, come back at once. There's the giant iguana. There's a robot with claws. Mary's adorable.
I was so heartbroken when I thought Mary was dead.
I like when the IMC guys get drunk. I liked Caldwell okay. All in all, it was slow, dragged a lot. It had a lot of similar plots to other, this group of people versus this group of people. And it just was so draggy. And I was so excited to go to space and the TARDIS to work again. And then it just sort of fell into the normal plots that it does, but kind of boring. And the most exciting thing was when he went to the underground city. And that's in 2 episodes very briefly. The design there is really great. The underground city with their weird sort of Pee Wee Herman looking doors and the brain-headed people and the little baby puppet. That's all cool. But the colony itself's boring and generic, and we're in a quarry for most of the time. It's just, just there. So I was so excited about getting back, and now that we're back, I'm like, that's basically it.
Yeah. So yeah, for an episode that's supposed to be about something, especially one that's like noted as like being about something, as having some sort of social commentary, I feel like it forgets to do that a lot. It doesn't spend enough time on its own premise. The way that it deals with the primitives and, you know, the native life is pretty gross. Specifically because it's like the doctor is one of the people being like, oh, well, that'll be fine. It's not like you can get the primitives out of here. Like,
right.
That's kind of rude. They were kind of here first. I feel like in the era that we're in now, we haven't had a lot of great episodes as far as plot and maybe even character goes. We've had some really killer design, though.
I feel like it's wasted, though, in this serial.
There's a lot of really cool design things going on. We don't see it much, but when we do, it's great. This is another good episode for design and, you know, an all-right episode for everything else.
I think it's a episode for everything else. Like, I think it's the worst 3 serial we've had so far.
Dang, okay.
Can you think of one that's worse?
I don't know, I'm bad at, like, comparing things because I don't remember what all we've watched. They all run together.
I'd say, like, the closest one is Ambassadors of Death, and I liked Ambassadors of Death. I don't know, you seem to not like Mind of Evil that much. But I don't know, Mind of Evil had a lot of good stuff in it for me.
Oh, I liked Mind of Evil. I mean, I liked parts of Mind of Evil. There were a lot of bits of Mind of Evil that were overall really fun. Anytime where, like, there's a problem with it where it's like, I couldn't listen to it half the time, that always kind of sticks out to me as, like, if I can't hear the episode, that's a problem.
So did you like this episode better than the Mind of Evil, or no?
I don't know. No.
Alright. I didn't either. I thought it was boring. And I was like, especially disappointed because this is what I've been wanting. I've been wanting to go back to space and travel in the TARDIS, and then it just turned out to be a mediocre episode. It seems like doubly disappointing because of that. Oh well, maybe next time will be better.
I do know that the next episode that we have is one that I've heard of before this. It's a notable episode somehow.
I have the impression that it's a good one. Before we go, I'd like to do a quick plug. You may know that I've written a story for a webcomic anthology called The Foggiest, which is drawn by previous guest Ray Friesen. My story was called Ghost Town. It just finished. You can go check it all out on patreon.com/Ray Friesen or thefoggiestcomic.tumblr.com. But I also want to talk about, we're doing a Foggiest Kickstarter for a book called Cats Committing Crimes. It's a bunch of different comics about cats doing, nefarious things. I've written 2 comics in it, Good Cat and Good Man. There's other people writing it, like basically all of our other guests. Chris Cherry's written a story, Ben Patton's writing a story, Vincent E. L's writing a story, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The Kickstarter ends pretty soon, but you can get in on it now, get a copy of the book, all that cool stuff. Just go to Kickstarter.com and you can search for Cats Committing Crimes. Or if you have difficulty spelling the word committing, like I sometimes do, you can just search for Cats Crimes and then it'll pop up. So go donate some money to that and help us out and get a cool book. And there's even a level where you can get you or your cat drawn into the book. So that's pretty neat. So go check it out. If you liked this episode, check out more on Watch-A-Rassilon.com. Be sure to rate and comment on our iTunes. We always enjoy that, and it helps us out. Gets us up in the search rankings betterer. And if you'd like to help us out even more, go to Watch-A-Rassilon.com/support, and there you'll find a link to our Patreon page, which you can get to just by going to patreon.com/Watch-A-Thon. There you can donate a monthly amount to get all kinds of rewards, like videos of us watching the episodes, uncut video of the podcast records, and day early episodes. Also on our support page is a link to our Amazon wishlist where you can sponsor an episode of the podcast by purchasing the corresponding serial on DVD for us. We'll mention you in the podcast and put your name on our Friends of Rassilon page. And speaking of, special thanks again to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Thanks, Matt.
You're very shiny. You can follow him on Tumblr at mgoldentumbles.tumblr.com. And tune in next time when we talk about
I'm sorry?
It's an A and an E smushed together. I don't know if you just say the demons or the daemons.
The daemons.
Or the dun. I don't know how you pronounce the A and the E smushed together. I know there's a name for that that's not A and E smushed together, but I don't know it. The diamonds. But
That's definitely it.
The diamonds.
Yeah.
We will have special guest Chris Cherry along for the ride on that one. Maybe he knows how to pronounce it. But thanks for listening. Keep calm and wrestle on.
Bye.
Don't just wave.
Doctor, come back at once.
This has been a broadcast of the